Hi there, welcome to Director's Debrief episode. I always forget to check. What? 14. Thank you, Ram. Always good to have you around, bud. Hi there, welcome to Director's Debrief episode 14. We literally have only half an hour to do this before we dive into a meeting. Yeah. It's been meeting central today, hasn't it?
It has. I sent you that tweet. Did you see that tweet that I sent you?
Which one?
And it was like the life of a founder or just someone senior, and it's like 16 meetings a day.
Yeah.
And it's like a remote CEO. It's like,
can you screenshot that and send it to Ram?
Yeah, I'll do that. It's actually nuts.
It is. But like big, exciting ones. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
No.
We're here to debrief as directors.
Yeah. I think we need this,
Yeah.
We need that little check-in every now and then.
Why do you like doing this? This isn't the question I have for you, but why do you like doing this podcast?
I feel sometimes we do our debriefs now and then.
Yeah.
But they're not scheduled, whereas this is scheduled.
Yeah.
And what that means is it kind of, as much as we want it to flow naturally, it makes sure that we actually think about things beyond just our meetings day to day and so on. So I really enjoy that. I enjoy having a chat. And I really like what Ram's doing as well. We're taking clips of what we're doing and putting them out there because a lot of people then who may not listen to the entire podcast are still seeing a little bit, getting some tips from us. So there's a lot that I like about it. How about you? I
saw somebody who has like a podcast in their company. If I think about it, I'll tell Ram to upload it with the video. But somebody was saying, I really like the idea of having this open conversation of where you can talk about anything.
Yeah.
You and I have meetings during working hours. Generally, they're about work. Sometimes we hang out outside of work. Though rarer and rarer, not throwing shade or anything. We're trying to book a restaurant for a while. We've booked.
Yeah, Dishoom.
Yeah. But yeah, I just like the idea of just being able to talk about absolutely anything and everything for about half an hour a week, and putting it out for the public to judge us on.
Yeah, it's great fun.
Yeah. So, and it also gives me the opportunity to deep dive into some things that you just randomly tell me throughout the week. And you randomly told me something this week that I thought was fascinating.
I do like randomly talking. Yeah.
I
do enjoy it.
It's a bit scary that some of these random talks are recorded. But no, the thing I wanted to ask you about is you said just out of the blue that you want to get back in the driving seat. And that wasn't strictly to do with business. That was to do with like business, life, gym, working out, mental headspace.
Yeah.
I really want to pick at that a little bit. Firstly, let's rewind a little bit before you made that decision. Why did you make that decision? What did you feel like things were going out of your control, or did you feel like you could do more with your lifetime?
Yeah, great question. And just to be clear, I didn't think I was out of control of anything. Okay. Nothing was like completely out there. I take it back to a quote from Jeff, our boy, Jeff Bezos.
Big Jeff.
Former Amazon CEO, for those that don't know. So he said something about how people talk often about work-life balance. Like, I must finish from my 9 to 5 o'clock I go home. We've spoken about this before. Life, certainly as an entrepreneur, it's not that same lifestyle. So he says what he has, or what he used to have when he was certainly at Amazon, is work-life harmony, and how that means it's almost, there's no strict cutoff between life and work, and it just kind of blends together nicely. Some people may question that and say, "Well, it's just he's just conning people into thinking that he
at face value
doesn't
it
overwork."
Seems toxic, yeah.
But it was very interesting as well. So the way I've interpreted that is that sometimes we may dedicate a little bit more time to our life for certain reasons or another. Loved one may be going through something. You may have a certain event going on, things like that you need to dedicate your time to. And sometimes work may take more of your time. Certainly, we've seen loads of examples of that, where we've got a new deal coming up or things that it takes more time. So I think what I was going through in that, when I was mentioning that, is that in this particular case, as much as we had so much going on at work, I felt my life was requiring me a little bit more than it would normally do. And that was fine. That's comfortable. There was no, I wasn't living my life thinking, I'm feeling bad about work or so on. It just felt that. And we've got a lot of exciting stuff coming on. So I don't know what it was, but certainly something just made me think, okay, this is all good. Life will continue. A lot going on in that personal life stuff, but we've got some important stuff coming up, and I'm going to get back in the driving seat. And I've kind of compartmentalize that all in my mind as to what I need to do, the structure behind it, and so on. And yeah, it feels good.
Cool.
Yeah.
On a personal level, what does that necessarily look like in terms of being back in the driving? Because you mentioned some stuff about like your diet, your health, working out. What does that mean?
Sure. So I when it comes to my diet, my me working out, going to the gym and so on, and work, I kind of put them all together. And the reason for that is they're all part of my routine, my daily must. Like I must work, I must eat well, and I must go to the gym. That's just like a given, Monday to Friday. Again, without sounding too toxic, I need that routine. We've spoken about that, right? Yeah. So when it comes to that, I felt that if I can get my routine slick with me working out, so making sure I'm going to the gym every other day, going without fail, making sure that I'm eating as clean as I can, trying to limit certain kind of junk things or things like that. I mean, I was going out a bit more than I wanted to. When I say going out, I meant going out for dinner, which I love, and I still love, and we're going out to Dishoom in a couple of weeks' time. But on the same token, I just wanted to make sure that I had that routine back in place, because that makes sure then your work and everything all fits nicely. I probably learned that from you, actually, because
I'm very pro routine.
Yeah, you've expressed routine, and I'm not going to lie, some part of me thought, okay, the toxic thoughts came like, oh, well, that sounds a bit too rigid and a bit too structured. Life isn't about that. On the same token, life isn't about that, but if you can fit some kind of routine into it, then you also love the times when you fall out of that routine a little bit, say your weekends or your time away on holiday and so on.
I got in a wee bit of trouble
for
my for my comments on routine on LinkedIn. I basically in one of the episodes said that you'll remember this, that I was anti flexi hours. And I put up a post on LinkedIn about that, where I expressed that I was, and to be honest, I was intentionally a little bit vague, just to stimulate some conversation. I didn't realize I was stimulating a war.
Okay.
That post got like 15,000 views, got loads of comments and likes, and like to LinkedIn that might not be a lot, but especially to my LinkedIn, I have a relatively small network. It went well beyond that. But I said I was anti-flexi hours, and I liked the 9 to 5 because it offers a routine. And I said, I'm just wondering if, the burnout generation, which I'm not a fan of the term, but the burnout generation might be more. It might benefit from something like that. 5 o'clock is when you finish, you go home, rather than flexi hours, which might blur the lines. Okay. That was my point. I got attacked from about 7 different angles. About how. Essentially, I think people read the post but might not have watched the podcast, because we talked about if somebody needs flexibility, we'll talk about it and we'll fix a routine around them to make sure we still attract the best talent. But a lot of people do like, it's opened my eyes a little bit. A lot of people like the flexibility, and obviously giving people what they like is also very important in aid productivity. So
I saw that post. I think you're downplaying the amount of engagement you had, because I think I saw about 40 or 50 comments on there. It was a fair amount going on, and a lot of different people. So I think so much so that you weren't even replying to some people because there were so many comments coming in at one point.
And it was my mum's birthday, so it was like
fair enough. LinkedIn.
I still replied to most, but it was my mum's birthday, so I was trying to spend some time.
But it was a really nice post, and I don't think they necessarily just needed to listen to the podcast. I'm not overly defending you, because I know you're trying to set up there a little bit as well. But people were just seeing, like you say, at face value, like, oh, he's anti-flexi hours. Like, look at all the benefits, when they didn't actually see your reasoning behind certain things, such as actually you were defending the burnout generation of it, saying, they do need a cut-off period of some sort. Otherwise, they take it home with them.
It's a risk that I don't think I anticipated of having the word director in my job title, because people look at that and immediately assume it's a very top-down relationship of me going, no flexi hours for you. Whereas in actual fact, I was identifying a problem and trying to help. And what I will say, of the people who came after me, 90% of them actually wanted to have a healthy discussion. And I really admired that, because a lot of the people I was like, look, just Google the mental health benefits of a routine. And a lot of people were engaging in that and going, oh, I didn't see that, and I didn't know this, and I didn't know that. Some people even went, well, do you not think you can build a routine around flexi hours? To which, again, we had some very, very interesting discussions. My thing on routines now, very similarly to what it was before, but it comes from a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear, where he talks about a lot of people have gone to him like, well, you're trying to build so many habits. Isn't this going to take up all of your time?
Right.
To which he said, no, if anything, it's going to open up my time. Because what I'm doing is I'm putting stuff on autopilot. So he is trying to alleviate as much of the thinking behind good decisions as possible.
Okay.
So the example he uses is if you want to learn to play guitar, don't store it away all beautiful. Put it in the middle of your living room. Put a bowl of fruits. I've done this. Put a bowl of fruits on your table. Don't put them in the fridge. Don't just go off and you'll throw them. I was guilty of this. I put apples and bananas in the fridge, and then I bought a nice bowl. I put it in the middle of my like dining table, and I keep finishing the fruit on there.
Yeah,
I'll just walk past and like subconsciously I was like, James. That's why I grabbed that. So my thing is a lot less around routines now, but like automating as much as possible. It's helped me with finances. It's helped me with a lot of stuff. And so if anything, you were saying you want to get back in the driving seat. I'm trying to level up my autopilot.
I think that's all much of the same though. And
yeah,
it's kind of the same as working in a business. And you know, at the end of the day, you have so many different tasks. I see your to-do list sometimes, or to-do, as you have, right? And there's a multitude of different things. And one of the big things both of you and I tried to do over the last few years is automate the tasks that we do. You know, how many tasks that we were doing and they'd be to the bottom of the list.
Yeah.
We've now, I say offloaded, but I mean that in a nice way of like, someone else is now treating that as their own. It's their task to do every morning. Or
at some point, they were opportunities for us to learn, and then they became regular tasks.
Yep.
So, if anything, I see that as passing on an opportunity to learn, because we don't encourage anybody to keep those tasks beyond the point where they can do it in their sleep. We encourage them to offload that as well and pass on that opportunity to learn and give them further opportunities to grow. So
absolutely.
that's quite a big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I find that frees up our time, just like you're saying, to then dedicate to other tasks and things that need more of our attention and so on. So you are freeing up more of your time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's essence. So no, it makes a lot of sense. But just on that routine side of things then, and you've obviously we've been discussing this a little bit more, but do you think that it's up to the employee to decide whether they should fit into a routine or not? Or is it up to the employer?
I don't. The reason why I'm stumbling on this is because a lot of companies have left it up to the employee. And I'm not saying that this is the result, but there is a lot of burnout. There is a lot of people overworking, underclaiming for the work they've done. I was just telling you about like my sister, how many times she's worked up until 9 o'clock.
Sure.
Like that's a majority of the time. That's not in the minority. She's supposed to finish at 6, but she's working till 9. She's getting up early. And there is a correlation, right? I'm not saying it's the direct cause. I'm not saying giving somebody flexi hours will make them overwork, but it's the same thing about when I think it was either Google or Twitter offered unlimited annual leave. They saw a decrease in the number of people taking annual leave.
Right.
Like it's a very smart psychological play, and I don't even know if it was intentional. But I think it is the employer's responsibility to look at the data in front of them and try and gather some sort of decision from that. And I think that's what we've done. We've looked at all of the flexi hours. Well, at least I have. I've seen a lot of my friends who have flexi hours, and they're the ones that are working overtime and not necessarily getting paid for it, or not necessarily getting the recognition for it. And the irony is, if you give everybody the flexi hours and all of this stuff, is that they're not alone. The whole team are the ones that are overworking. The whole team. And you know, you and I have both had conversations with people around here, like if their workload is too high, we need to reassess that, because you know, if they're happier outside of work, they'll be happier inside of work. I see your point, because outside of work isn't necessarily our responsibility. Yeah. But that's where I stand on that. I think.
No, it makes a lot of sense. So, I'm playing devil's advocate.
Please do,
because this is what we actually do in our debriefs to iron things out. But just because you limit someone's hours, are you necessarily preventing them from overworking? Because you can give them X number of tasks, give them 8 hours, and say, go finish it. Or you can allow them to do it in their own time, a bit more flexibility. And some may argue, actually, that's less overworking than a fixed, rigid time frame with X number of tasks. What are your thoughts on that?
I think in theory, that's absolutely, I can't question it.
Yeah.
I just don't think we've seen enough of it in practice. And I'm very hesitant to say that, because there are so many, I mean, you'd agree, there's so many variables at play here, right? It's the workload, but it's also the intensity of the workload. Because you could argue that, you know, let's say, our warehouse operatives, they have to do maybe 150 to 160 different things a day, whether that's packing this, picking that, or doing that. Whereas you and I probably do about 5 things a day.
Yeah.
But these variables in themselves is that the things that you and I do take a long time to complete, whereas those things take a much shorter period of time. So I'd like to say, in theory, what you're saying and flexi hours in general works absolutely fine. In practice, it's just not been the case. So I'm just wondering, like, that's what I meant about with my LinkedIn post. I'm anti because that's my opinion, and I'm just wondering if we've tried to fix something with a solution, but it hasn't necessarily worked as intended.
Sure.
But because it sounds so good in theory, we've just decided to stick it out.
Yeah.
That's why somebody commented, like, you should follow these people who are trying to push the 4-day work week. I think this was in Australia, but I followed them. I'm very keen to learn the progress because it might be something that we could learn a lot from.
Yeah.
But we haven't done it, and I'm very curious to watch other businesses, see how they get on. If it's great, then why not? But flexi hours, we've managed to look at other companies. I don't necessarily see all of that benefits. Like, so to bring it back to your point of it could work, I'd say it's the same thing as, remember our discussion around Perkbox?
Yeah.
We wanted to sort of like bolster our offering to the team in terms of their compensation. And then we started to go through the perks that come with Perkbox. We realized, I don't know if we asked people in the end, half the people wouldn't use a single one.
Yeah.
The other might use one from time to time.
Yeah.
And we ended up going with the EAP program, which offers people mental health support. And so, yeah, again, it's one of these things of like, yes, it should work.
Does it? Yeah.
Does it in
I absolutely spot on, and I think it does need fine tuning. And I love the fact you brought a 4-day week up, because I'll be honest, up until very recently, I've always thought of it as a fad. An idea that just from the idea that I see the way things progress, I'm like, this is just employees saying, we want a bit more here, or we want a bit more. This is just my mindset, straight. It
Dare
jumped
you to put that on
immediately.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, and maybe if I'll get the same kind of engagement.
Yeah.
But I took a step back and I said, okay, I've seen this a bit too much on my Twitter or my LinkedIn. I've started to see 4-day work weeks too often. I need to look into this a little bit more, because that's the way my mind works. If I see something for a bit too much, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm missing something here. Maybe it's just not. It's not just a fad, or someone just trying to say, I fancy a 4-day work week, 3 days off on a weekend. Because I fancy that sometimes, right? You're having a nice weekend, you're like, I love a little bit. But I start to see the benefit that, at the end of the day, can work be, and again, careful to say this, but compressed into 4 days. Could we be more efficient in 4 days, and based on our rest periods, actually be far more efficient and complete the work in 4 days? Possibly. I see that with some of our stuff, certainly on the admin side. Operationally, it's difficult because we're churning out orders left, right, and centre.
Beyond our control. We have to do what the couriers want us to do.
Right, absolutely. But where possible, potentially it's something we can look at. And I mean, even the idea of 4 days and 1 day remote, or half a day remote, could be a way of us easing into that culture. It starts to test us, because I think I see a lot of companies drastically make changes, and then it can either come back to bite them, or they're not happy, or they start to lose trust in the whole system or the process. Whereas maybe, and this is being on air debriefing, maybe we can look at testing something out where people do work a little bit remotely, or partial days and so on, where we see fit maybe in the future, and see how that plays out for us going forwards.
I'm very keen to learn how this is going to work out. But if I may be as bold to say, I hope it works, by the way. I hope the people I'm following show great results. I don't think it will, because I think it's treating the symptom and not the cause. And I'll get into that in a second. Also, don't think society is ready for it. Because everything else isn't going to turn to 4 days. Schools aren't going to go to 4 days. So people who want that flexibility to spend time with their kids are not going to be able to, because they're going to be there. But not everybody has kids. People have hobbies. But then again, how are they going? Like, what are they going to do? Go play tennis? Well, the tennis courts are going to be closed now because it's a 4-day week. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it is very much just. I think if we're going to make this work, and I think we can, but I think society as a whole needs to change. Like I said, we're bound by our couriers. Everybody's generally bound by something. One of our clients calls on our day off. Like, for us, that's a bit different. But like, we're going to have to answer that.
That is an issue, because like you said there, the tennis courts may be shut on the Friday or whatever. The idea then would be that not everyone has the same 4 days of work, right? Some may work Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Some may work a Monday to Thursday, and so on. But the issue you have there is that crossover period, because at the moment we have the 5 days where you know that you could call another firm. We work with our clients, and the chances are, unless they've taken a sick leave or they're on annual leave, they're going to be working. And that crossover period, if you need to collaborate and organize a meeting or so on. Whereas when people are working on such different time frames, like I said, that collaboration might be more difficult between firms. And to say you need to call one of our clients to set up a meeting for whatever, how does that become much more difficult, because you've got to schedule it with their timetable and so on.
And I know what I'm not going to play devil's advocate, but I know what they're going to say. They're going to say, well, there's features that you can release on like LinkedIn to say what days you're available. You can do all of these things. And I'm just like, well, how much duct tape are we going to add to this wound? How much are we going to do that? Because like I said, I believe it's treating the symptom and not the cause, which is in a healthy environment where you enjoy your work. Dare I ask, what's the issue with working 5 days? Like, if you don't mind where you're devoting 40 hours of your week, that's not necessarily, I don't necessarily yearn for a 4-day week, because where I'm devoting 40 hours of my week, and we talk about culture, we talk about, the environment that we create here, we've got work to do, don't get me wrong, but it's actively on our mind, and it's actively something we try to improve. I don't necessarily think that's true for all employers, but also the question is the issue that people don't like where they're spending 5 days, so they're trying to limit how much time, because like you said, if it's a fad, then it's just, I don't want to spend 5 days there, but I can tolerate 4 days. Well, how quickly does 4 days turn into 3 days?
To 2? And that's it. Is it a fad that just keeps asking for more until actually I'd rather you just paid me without working? Really jumping the gun, but the idea there. On the same token, I'm going to be a LinkedIn comment. I guess that's a better word than, or a better phrase than a devil's advocate, and say, here we are, two guys in our mid-20s. I say mid, verging on a little bit later than mid.
Apparently you get to say you're mid until you're 27.
Oh, really?
So 24, 25, and 26 is your mid.
Oh no! So, I've got a month of no mid.
You do? Your birthday's coming up, mate.
Less than a month.
I gotta get Ash a gift. Right, would you remind me? I'm gonna forget.
No, don't. I don't want to be late 20s. 27's mid as well.
Sure.
Mid to late.
I'll give you 2 weeks of you being 27, or I'll call you in your mid-20s, and then bam.
Just quickly before I go back to what I was about to say, I saw a tweet about how some girl was like, "You ever think?" And I'm putting it in American accent because I was an American guy. I was like, y'all ever think that you've never actually seen a man who's 28? And it's like, I don't think I have. And I think people either say they're in their 30s or they just say they're in their 20s, but very few actually specify that
that's
they're 28.
Very true.
I don't know.
That's I was just really weird.
Actually, I don't know anyone who's 28.
No.
Unless you actually know them, like your brother or someone. It's very difficult to be like, oh yeah, they're...
my brother probably skipped that age.
Yeah, I don't know. I think people do. The comments were hilarious. But anyway, it's an age. But yeah, if I'm that LinkedIn comment, here we are in our mid-20s.
Yeah.
For now. And two guys, obviously we have some responsibilities, family and that, but we still have very minimal responsibilities to what's coming up, right?
Who are we to talk?
Who are we to talk about the requirement for that extra time? Yeah, we have so much time to dedicate to work.
Yeah.
And the weekend is enough for our family and our friends, but we don't have kids. Yeah. We, all of that stuff of upkeep and house maintenance, all of that stuff, gardening, all of that. Who are we to talk about that when other people have lifestyles that require a lot more?
Thank God this isn't being recorded, so we can't be called out for it in 5 years' time when we're married with kids. It's a fucking good point. Oh, sorry. But that's a good point. Who are we to talk?
Just before, and I'm sure that whoever is going to comment on LinkedIn won't get to this point in the podcast to know that I said that, and we'll already probably start ranting, but... Put it out there, guys. Like, I fully appreciate that this is a debrief, and sometimes we like to think like that.
Yeah.
When we're talking, we're actually debriefing. I think we try to put ourselves in random shoes.
Yeah.
Maybe I could go further with that comment.
Go ahead.
But no.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah. Maybe a question. I'll take it.
Stab it further. Go on, Ash. Stab it further.
Yeah. Who are we to talk? And I think that's the idea that the 3 days or the extra day isn't just to have a break or to spend time with kids. Maybe it's to catch up on things they would have to do, like life admin.
Yeah.
To then spend time with their kids when the kids are off. And I've seen it, right? Like how many times growing up on a Saturday, Sunday would I actually be doing stuff with my parents, which is quality time.
Yeah.
I see them doing life admin stuff.
Yeah,
it's fine. But imagine if they had that extra day spare in the week, catch up on all of that, and then we could do stuff. And yeah, it's an interesting take on things.
I have an answer though.
Okay.
If I hadn't walked around like what am I, 20? What are you? You're 26.
Yeah,
okay.
we're the same age for now.
The camera's on, dude. The mind is blank. But if I hadn't come into this room as a 26-year-old with literally minimal responsibilities, I got to pay rent and utilities, and that's about it, really. But if I hadn't come in and asked that question, you wouldn't have asked that in return, and this wouldn't have been an open conversation.
That's true.
So I do think, I hate that comment, but I also appreciate where it comes from, because I think so many people, there's a completely different topic, but we've only got 4 minutes. I think so many people will shy away from expressing their opinion because they'll think, who am I to make that comment?
Yeah.
And that's something I don't have. I don't have that filter. That's just like, who are you to be saying? I'm like, I'm me.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say it.
And I love that, because otherwise every time you were to give your thoughts, you'd question it and filter it out, and you'd never have any original thoughts.
Well, yeah, true. I just see a lot of people, like, I've even heard people start to make a comment, realize they might not be the right person, and then like hold back. And I'm like, well, that comment's going to be suppressed forever now. Yeah. I do like, there's a comedian, I'll touch very briefly on this before we wrap up, called Andrew Schulz. And he says some of the most horrific stuff in the world. Well, not in the world, no. He's a comedian at heart.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about political correctness and all of this stuff, and he actually gives a TED Talk, and it's very, very interesting. I actually would recommend it to you, Ram, Ash, anybody who wants to learn a bit about public speaking. But his number one thing is authenticity. He's like, I'm not going to give you a sheltered view of me. I don't care if it gets me into trouble, I might learn from it, but my thing is authenticity. And so most of his comedy specials is crowd work. He'll ask people questions, he'll make fun of them. Some of the stuff might be depicted as racist.
Yeah.
I think he's shown that he's made fun of enough races that he's not particularly against one of them.
Sure. I love that.
But I do love the authenticity aspect. And I've realized, I think, to end on this note, and I'll ask you this question too, is I think going forward, I definitely want to be more authentic. I think that I already am pretty, like, I don't withhold a lot of these opinions like I just did. But I like that. I think I'm going to lose some friends. I think I'm going to lose some people along the journey. But I just love the idea of being able to just be authentic, express how I feel.
It's such a great world we live in. And to wrap up, where we can be authentic and say stuff, and the most you get is basically some LinkedIn comments and some hate from that. I wouldn't even call it hate, mild hate.
I wouldn't call it hate, disagreement.
But I mean, not to make it political, but there are a lot of places in the world at the moment where you even question what you don't feel is right.
Yeah.
And that's suppressed, not by you, but by force. And grateful that we can at least have these debriefs and chat. And like I said, not to keep it too political, but it's great to chat about these topics. Yeah, man. All right, we got 4 minutes over, so we got to rush and prep for our meeting. Yes, but thank you very much for listening to episode 14. We'll have to come up with a title. Any titles? What of this? Of this episode. Ram, what you got? You normally come up with the titles. Okay, you weren't meant to say that on camera. Yeah, all right. We'll cut. It's got to be like really smart, well thought. But if you liked the episode, don't hesitate to subscribe, like, comment, do whatever you got to do. Give us some mild hate, whatever. If you must. Yeah. But no, thanks for listening. See you next time. Bye.